ladies and gentlemen, non-binary pals. This is the first bracket stage match of Metroid Fusion Open Randomizer Tournament 2022 Spoiler Edition. We got Gandhi versus Rondi today. Schwartzghandi versus ronaldrage, and we're just getting everything started now. And as soon as they hit go, I'm going to give them the spoiler log.
This sick gameplay is brought to you by...
Yeah. By MGPA.
Brought to you by GBA 0.9.2.
And they are off. Alright, so the goal of the game effectively is to make sure they get missiles, charge beam, plasma beam, gravity suit, some way to get into lower sector 4, some way to get out of lower sector 4, and some kind of jump upgrade, either high jump or space jump. And they'll need to unlock level 4 doors, and that's about all. That's pretty much all they'll need, strictly speaking. Of course, in order to get those items, in order to get to lower sector 4, they may need additional equipment as well.
The game tells you that you only need plasma charge, missiles, and the level 4 locks, but there are a couple secret items that you need to access those things, such as gravity suit, because you can't get into the level 4 security lock without gravity suit, or speed booster.
So starting off here with ice missiles, they could start with anything of any of either missile launcher, ice missiles, super missiles, or diffusion missiles, or morph or speed booster. Those are also valid options to progress into the sectors instead of through the Arachnus area. Today they started off with missiles. Ice missiles are pretty nice. They do unfortunately just freeze things instead of killing them, but that is actually very useful as well. I'm getting wave beam, an interesting decision. So they have the spoiler logs. I've noticed a lot of players, I mean, I can't say I blame them, but they do tend to kind of autopilot at the start while they're just trying to figure out where to go next. And this section is just so common that they kind of muscle memory through here quite a bit.
Yeah, definitely. And you can see for sure
the wave beam, it's a very strong beam. It's pretty good to have, but at the same time it can really slow you down because it has a great deal of difficulty shooting things at point blank.
Yeah, wave beam has an unfortunate property where it will oscillate and not quite be in contact with the enemy you're shooting, even though the sprite would suggest otherwise.
It's designed to be kind of like the original Metroid or Super Metroid. It's actually been hand crafted basically by the creator Kazuto. This wasn't the normal gameplay in Metroid Fusion. Whenever you would get upgraded beams, it would actually just give you all of the prior beams. So it was reverse compatible or whatever. But yeah, that has been adjusted in the randomizer, so we can have the split beams.
You see wave beam missing blocks due to the oscillations on Ronald's screen.
And there are some pretty neat interactions, like Wave Beam plus Plasma Beam kind of gives you noodle shots. And the when you charge it up, it kind of gives a double plasma shot, which is pretty nice. Well, like a double coiling, like double helix kind of shot.
Although it
It's a
is
nice
quite
touch.
laggy if you shoot it willy-nilly.
Yeah. Picking up Speed Booster here at the start of Sector 6. So another big thing about this particular tournament is that we're using the Shuffled Sectors feature. Normally you only have access to 1 and 2 at the start. In this case, they have access to the save station in the start of Sector 6, which allows them to oh. So welcome everyone to the first bracket tournament. Okay, alright, Ronald does manage to make it out. Yeah, this is like, with spoiler logs, these races get real brutal. That was like one of the less costly deaths that you'll see in the tournament, honestly. It can get real rough, and it's generally recommended that you save like every 5 minutes or so. You only lost about 5 minutes. That's not so bad. And ronaldrage is taking the time to stop and read through the spoiler log, so that's giving schwartzghandi some time to recover, some time to catch up.
Saving is also pretty important in randomizers, even with the spoiler lock, because it's really easy to soft lock, because Metroid Fusion was designed so linearly that if you're in the wrong place with the wrong items, you can find yourself in unfortunate circumstances.
Oh, there we go. Alright, we got that fixed. Yeah, sorry about that. I kind of had the direct streams up for a bit. I was predicting the future. So with the spoiler logs, I can tell what exactly the players are going to do and how they're going to perform. Is that how spoiler logs work? Yeah, it's a spoiler log tournament, so we're spoiling the gameplay for you as well. It's all scripted, don't worry about it.
Yep.
Alright, ronaldrage opening up level 2 locks in Sector 3. This is gonna be like kind of a key location for a lot of races in this tournament, because it's kind of a like, there's a fairly recent trick that was discovered in the randomizer just because nobody thought about it, because it's not relevant in vanilla. You could actually, it's not in logic, but you can, if you want to, open up level 2 locks with just speed booster and power bombs, because you can climb into morph ball tunnels and roll through, but you can't jump up ledges without bombs or high jump in morph ball form. So what they're able to do is carve out specific sets of blocks to just kind of extend the length of that morph ball tunnel at the top, instead of just having this gap at the, or kind of having this series of steps that you normally have. ronaldrage discovering that although ice missiles are a higher step, I mean, he already knows, I just kind of forgot. Although ice missiles are a higher step from supers in vanilla, they do not damage the super missile vulnerable Gearons. You actually need super missiles to deal with those, or power bombs, or speed booster,
Or
or screw attack. There are a lot of things, but ice missiles are not one of them. Another costly death from Ronal Rage, not as costly. Maybe not as costly. Yeah, okay, they are still in Sector 3. They did just lose a few rooms of progress. But yeah, you can't count anyone out even if they die.
I believe in this randomizer, we do have power bombs set to on without bombs, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because normally in the vanilla game, you actually can't use power bombs unless you already have bombs, and that was a thing in the old randomizer tournament, where people would collect power bombs, but they wouldn't be able to use them until they found normal bombs.
Speed booster for Schwartz. So these, yeah, I was kind of rooting against the allowing power bombs without bombs, just because there are particular tricks that I just really, really enjoy. And basically, if you can use power bombs, then you pretty much almost never need bombs. So you really have no incentive to do mid-air bomb jumps for the most part. And I don't think anyone was going to really do them in the tournament anyway, but they're really cool. I wanted to promote those, but it is still pretty cool to just have the option to have power bombs instead of bombs as well. It does open up the game quite a bit more. Like, it's interesting that you can use power bombs to destroy bomb blocks, but you can't bomb jump in tunnels. So there are many cases in these seeds where you need either bombs or high jump to progress for one reason or another. It's pretty cool. Let's see. What's next on the agenda for these racers? For Ronald, he's diving into Sector 2. We have a pretty nice color-coded Google Sheets that a bunch of the admins and like other racers have been contributing to, just like adding in code, and we have nice color-coded by sector, color-coded by major item, and by E-tanks. A nice division of E-tanks and missile tanks and power bomb tanks. And it makes it really reader-friendly. So there are a bunch of items I'm seeing in Sector 2. 5 items, it looks like. Ronal Rage getting gravity suit.
Otherwise known as Wildberry Pop-Tart suit.
Yeah.
That is a secret required item, because we need it to unlock the level 4 locks.
There are technically some people who can beat seeds without it, but it requires a very, very lengthy underwater wall jump section that is notoriously rough on people's thumbs. So we probably won't be seeing any of that. It's also very, very slow, and when you have the spoiler log and you know where Gravity Suit is, I highly doubt we're going to see that at all in this tournament. It's possible, but I doubt it. So we got the missile data below the data room in Sector 2. And we're still kind of workshopping the names of these item locations as well. But haven't come up with one for that quite yet.
My favorite one so far has to be Mini Fridge.
It's a
in
good one.
Sector 5.
I'm guessing
Although
Ronald Rage is looping around to get to Wonderwall to get their diffusion missiles. Not sure why else they would come here.
Although in a way, I find the lack of creativity in some of our rune names, at least prior to the randomizer, to be quite charming.
Yeah.
Because you know, we just stated how it is. Like, worst room in the game. I mean, worst room is in Super Metroid 2, but worst room in the game. There's a lot of crabs, a lot of blocks. The room is laid out very poorly. You know,
Well,
worst room in the
frustratingly.
game.
I don't know if I would consider it poorly, but it's definitely the most frustrating room. Like, very, like, very unpopular room for sure.
Yeah,
and you kind of gotta have one of those in game design, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, it's debatable. Yeah, E-tanks are, geez, they're hard to come across in spoiler. Like, you can see where the E-tanks are, but they're not the first things you look for when you're trying to just, like, beat the game. Like, you're looking for the major upgrades to allow you to technically, like, theoretically beat the game. But to be able to survive, that takes some, like, secondary kind of additional level thinking. And here in Sector 4, there are 4 E-tanks. Let's see, they're... are they worth getting to, though? Pump control. The pump control's item is an E-tank in the seed, but it's really far out of the way. The ouch room is kind of far out of the way as well. Even if you're a seasoned speedrunner, even if you're a low percent speedrunner, you're in so many unfamiliar situations, and you're just like, your processing, your brain power is just being used so much that it's kind of exhausting, and you tend to make really silly mistakes all the time.
Absolutely. Randomizers are at 100% more about decision making on the fly than it is about execution. I mean, execution definitely matters, but you know, even if you know the game in and out, the game is randomized, so you have no idea where anything is. You have no idea what kind of situations you might encounter. So it creates some really interesting scenarios.
And I've talked to high-level speedrunners like Scotty W, and I'm like, seriously, this game is a hard game. And he insists, no, it's not that it's hard, it's just that I was stupid at that moment. But that's kind of what makes it hard. Like, it makes you stupid in moments.
Yeah, your muscle memory from speedrunning this game really only helps you in the first, like, minute of this randomizer.
And sometimes the last 5 minutes, but yeah, pretty much. And only sometimes the last 5 minutes. Because a lot of times you wind up at the end without wide beam, and it's a little different, and it's just barely enough to drastically change how you have to approach the final bosses. Because although it's possible, technically, to stun lock the Omega Metroid without wide beam, it's also very, very, very tight. And, like, without Ice Beam, like, I don't know how viable it would actually be for a human. Like, it would be really, really tight. with Ice Beam, I think is probably doable for a top level runner. But without it, like if you're just kind of a really good runner, you might want to play it safe and just like walk back and forth and just use charge beams for the most part. Gravity suit get for Schwartz. And Schwartz is slowly but surely catching up. Still got the... It's gonna go for the missile data back here. A little extra firepower that's very nice for the SAX. Well, the Ice Core at least.
Yeah.
They're now doing 20 damage per shot. They had... Did they skip diffusion? I think they skipped... Oh yeah, they haven't gotten diffusion yet. Right,
I think...
Okay.
I think I saw Ronald get diffusion.
Yeah, Ronald got it, but it's... Schwartz hasn't gotten there quite yet. And they're actually gonna go for it, it looks like. Unless they're just getting... Oh, they're probably gonna be going down to get power bombs as well.
Fun fact, you can kill those stabilizers with a speed booster too.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. That's a difficulty level 3 logic trick. That is something we account for when we give players seeds. We let them know ahead of time, hey, this kind of trick may be required. And they do have an option to opt out of those seeds. So we let them know, and if they veto it for whatever reason, then we just give them a seed without tricks, basically.
Can't wait for a seed where you have to do reverse ice.
I can't even imagine a scenario like that. But that's what's so special about randomizers. Like, especially when you don't vet the seeds, you see so many interesting things.
Mm-hmm.
Or not when you don't vet, when you don't curate the seeds, rather. Like we're vetting all of the seeds ahead of time, but we're basically just taking the first seed we have in the list and giving them to the runners.
Of course.
And like once in a while it would be funny to have like gravity suit on Ridley, but we're not like fishing for specific instances. Just let the randomizer do its own thing. It really shines on its own. Although at the same time, it can lead to like occasional what players might consider dull seeds. But it's also subjective. Like some people might not like really straightforward jet seed that you can finish in like under 20 minutes. But other people would think, wow, that was a really fun kind of snack of a seed.
Yeah. Personally, I really enjoy really difficult challenge seeds, just because I've already experienced this game so much. Like I've played this game for hundreds of hours, and what's really interesting about randomizing is that it just adds a new layer to the game that that is unfamiliar to you, and having to play through a grueling, having to play through a really hard seed, I think, personally, is more enjoyable to watch. But well, watch and play, because a lot of times you'll end up doing things that you wouldn't even see in like speedruns, or especially in Super Metroid. Like, there's a lot of weird tech and glitches and stuff that you'll only really ever see in randomizers, because either they're too obscure to have any use in speedruns, or the categories where they are used are category extensions with like 3 runs.
I had one Super Metroid race where I didn't find gravity, and I was like, screw it, I'm gonna have fun, and I'm just gonna go beat Dragon without gravity, no biggie. just went and did it, and I lost by a long shot, but didn't really care. It was just too interesting to pass up.
It's about the journey, not the destination.
For me, at least, yeah. And we got a box fight on Ronald's end. They are box is kind of interesting, this first fight with them, because it doesn't spawn unless you have you know, sometimes I get the things wrong, but I had thought for a good while that it was only missiles and green doors. But apparently it can also spawn if you have charge beam and green doors. And I think it, like, with missiles, it has to be missile launcher, but sometimes you can trigger it with other combinations of missiles as well, and I don't fully understand it. But, like, there are a lot of instances where you could just get the data room and never have to fight box. It's pretty convenient.
All I know is shoot it with missiles.
Yeah.
And then he's gone.
Super missiles
Speaking of the
right
devil.
above box. You know, I kind of wonder if it would have been worth getting the super missiles before fighting box. I don't know, but actually, they wasn't Space Jump in the data room?
I don't remember.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't in the data room. We got the spoiler log right here. It was a missile tank. Oh, they didn't get that. Okay, they were just exiting the room. Okay. Wait, they had Space Jump? Why did he fight box? Ronald, please. Alright. Muscle memory, it had to be.
Yeah. I'm definitely a victim of muscle memory and randomizers. I don't play randomizers too often, but when I do, I usually just go like I'll find myself going straight to Sector 1 after main deck, even though it's ideal to go Sector 2 because that's where more of the accessible items are. And I fight all the stabilizers. Even though you don't need to do that. But it is fun to use a shine chain to kill them.
So we have a good question in chat. Why aren't the missiles or power bombs usable when you get expansions? It's just kind of I suppose it's kind of the spirit of how Fusion operates. That you just you need the data to be able to launch missiles or to be able to create power bombs. Like, you can have the ammo but nothing to launch it with, you know? It's really just a subjective design decision. So it's very different from how it is, how it's designed in the Super Metroid randomizer, where any missile expansion you get will let you fire missiles, or super missiles, or power bombs in those cases. And it was just decided differently in the Fusion randomizer. Like, there are arguments for either side.
And, you know, in the vanilla game, you need to have the power bomb data in order to use power bombs.
In Super Metroid, you don't even get, like, there's no distinguishment between, like, your first, like, the missile launcher or the super missile launcher or things like that. You just straight up get expansions and now you can launch them. Whereas in the later games, it was modified to just only allow you to launch them once you have the software download or biological what's it called? Biologic machinery or something.
Biomachinery.
Like in the Prime games, basically you like you could get in the Prime randomizers, it's an option whether or not the expansions give you the ability or not. So you can kind of decide for yourself. Whereas with this, there was probably some, like, you would probably need some additional coding to allow expansions to give you that ability. And there's some precedence for it. Like, you're not able to place power bombs without bombs in vanilla, but that was changed. That's now an option in the current version of the randomizer, and that's one of the differences between this tournament and the last tournament. You can now use power bombs without bombs. So
yeah,
it may be an option down the road, just not now.
The original version of the randomizer was actually based on a mod called Sequence Break Fusion that basically removed a lot of the events that prevent sequence breaking in the vanilla game. And that's why a lot of what we see in the randomizer is possible.
A lot of people considered it impossible to create a fusion randomizer because of that event system being so rigid in the vanilla game. But it just took time, pretty much.
Yeah.
Human beings are incredible, and they just make impossible things possible on a fairly regular basis. So we got Gandhi having unlocked green doors, and ronaldrage going to get their Varia suit to be able to break open Sector 5 to be able to get to lower Sector 4. It's either you get Varia suit, or you unlock level 3 doors, or you break in with screw attack. Some combination. Well, any one of those three options, I think, basically, with other items as well, will basically give you access to lower Sector 4, because you have to get in there through Sector 5, unless you want to do a complicated ice clip that wraps around the system memory to get back to the bottom of the room. In Sector 4, you can do a wraparound trick to access lower Sector 4 that way, but it's really slow. You just might as well open it up normally.
An interesting detail about the gravity suit, or getting the various suit, is that the damage you take from the ice, or you take damage from the ice even if you have the gravity suit, which is an interesting feature that the Varia suit just protects you from extreme heat, or extreme temperatures, not just extreme heat, extreme temperatures, and the gravity suit. You know, there's nowhere does it say in the gravity suit's programming that it absolutely has to protect you from heat damage. It just happens to in Super Metroid. But in Fusion, you need the Varia suit.
Yeah, I don't remember if that was a vanilla thing or if that was just like it just gave you Varia suit and it had to be changed to not give you Varia suit or something like that. I'm not sure.
Schwartzghandi opting not to freeze the SAX.
Yeah, a lot of players have different approaches for these bosses. I know Hugo, our tracker for this particular match, is definitely a big proponent of just using this back and forth method. It's definitely really reliable. The freeze strat is significantly faster, but if you mess that up just once, you better have a backup plan. And that basically is the backup plan. So as long as you got that down, even if you go for the freeze strat, you still have that to fall back on. So it's a strat that's really worth learning for sure. Because if you try to refreeze it, like you're kind of in a different position. You're in a different distance from the SAX, and it just kind of messes up your timing. It makes it more difficult to get back into the stun lock setup.
Propulsion sequence
Yeah. Yeah, the freeze strat really saves time when you do it diagonally, because you want Plasma Beam to be in contact with the SAX's model, or sprite, not really model, but whatever, same difference, as much as possible, because Plasma Beam deals damage per frame in this game, and you want the beam to be in contact as much as possible, and when the SX is frozen, it doesn't take knockback, and doesn't get iframes. And you can do it in a minimum of 4 shots. But the diagonal setup is a little bit tricky and not always reliable if you're not consistent with it.
Yeah, some people go for a simpler, just straight shots setup. And the most important thing when playing through in races is what's most reliable for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you can go for the fastest strats, but if you're gonna mess it up and it's gonna cost you like a death or something, you just got to make sure you know what you are comfortable with during a particular race. And you can practice and practice, like do different strats in practice and just get better at them, but stick with what you're comfortable with during the actual match. Ooh, getting a stun lock without having it stuck on the right wall. Very nicely done by Schwartz.
And that's GG for schwartzghandi, finishing with an official race time of 37:47.
GG.
Hello.
Welcome, Schwartz.
Oh,
GG. Yeah, that was
that was a scary Omega Metroid fight.
Yeah,
Yeah,
excellent work. I shouted out. You pulled off the stun lock without it being pressed up against the wall. That was very nicely done.
Oh. Oh. I made a bunch of dumb mistakes in that race. I can't believe I won, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a great showcase of like how the tournament is basically gonna go from like from
yeah,
race.
yeah. The randomizer is really volatile. You can.
Mm-hmm.
So this first race is definitely an excellent showcase of what's to come.
Yeah.
Sick gameplay brought to you by MGBA 09.2.
Yeah, that's the version of the emulator I'm running.
Yeah, so how'd you feel about the seed overall?
It was actually pretty nice. It gave plasma and wide pretty early. So I went into 4 accidentally because I thought I was going to 2, but I was like, oh, that's the other elevator. But then I looked, oh, plasma's here. Why don't I just go quick grab that? Turned out to be a really good decision.
Yeah. It's very nice to have in lower sector 4.
Yes. And turns out you actually did need power bombs. I instinctively went to go get those. I actually didn't need them.
Ronald got just about everything.
Really.
Mm-hmm.
I got everything except Supers. Supers screwed up. I was like, wait, Supers were in a pretty bad spot for routing because I didn't want to do box and stuff to get up there. Crew attack was literally in my least favorite check ever. So
Dang. Yeah, can't blame you for that one. That trips up a lot of runners. Ripper Road, you really gotta freeze the Ripper in just the right position.
Yeah,
it's even harder with just diffusion, but luckily he did have ice missile. Ronald didn't get that either. He skipped screw attack and ice beam and got everything else.
Man, seeing people not door fix that door in the operations deck really hurts my eyes.
Door fix?
Oh.
I'm completely alien to this concept.
So there's I don't know how modern it is, but it's probably 7 years old tech. But
so basically when the game switched when the game switched to RTA as the primary timing method, people started shoutouts to Rezarin, by the way. We discovered a lot of them, but people started going around and trying to reduce door transition times because the in-game timer does not run during door transitions, but obviously the real timer does. And basically, door fixes just reduce, or they fix, quote, the door, so it doesn't move on the screen, and that reduces the number of frames that you were watching door transitions.
2 minutes to destination.
Yeah, it was really big in Super Metroid as well. I still haven't. I'm so old school that I haven't really even bothered to learn all the door fix strats yet. I'm just kind of picking them up little by little. And it's on a door by door basis as well, so it's really hard to really just start doing on the fly. You can't really, there are a lot of doors you lose time by trying to fix them just because you lose horizontal, you lose your run speed.
And also, that was a really mean spot for Varia.
GG to Ronald, finishing with a race time of 43:02.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
Lower sector 6. It was so out of the way.
Yeah, To be honest, I was actually really scared going into there because I was like, dude, I have no E for like so long. But then I like went in there, didn't even get hit once, and was like, what was I even worried about? Yeah. And then having Screw Attack be in 5, so I couldn't like backdoor it at all. Really, that was really rude.
Oh yeah, that's right. Sector 6 is... Yeah, I forgot how terrifying that is without Variasuit.
Yeah,
Like,
because
you go through there in vanilla, but in a rando, you're not expecting to go through there, so it's just X, like,
Yeah.
90 damage X everywhere.
yeah,
Or
I
70, I
died
guess.
when I first went in there
Yeah.
because I didn't realize how hard those flying things hurt.
Everything. Almost everything does, like, 40, 45, 62 damage, 64 damage.
I lost 5 minutes to
So
that. That would have been.
everyone in chat, put your IGT estimate for Ronald Rage. I'm guessing a 30 or a 29. Probably a 30 though.
27.
27 is a good guess.
I have no idea, but
I'll go with
like
26.
I know he died at least once, I think twice.
Yeah, where?
Oh
I
yeah,
don't
you're right.
remember.
He did die.
It was he died in Sector 3 after unlocking green doors, but he had saved in Sector 3, so just had to unlock green doors again. Didn't lose as much, like he didn't lose 5 minutes, but at the same time he also muscle memoried a bunch of stuff. Like he fought Box for no reason.
Yeah.
He got Wave Beam, which not only was it like slightly out of the way, but it also caused him to miss point blank shots on blocks. So the Wave Beam classic.
I was debating getting it to get out of 4, but then I realized that diffusion was that Wonder Wall, so I was like, yeah, definitely gonna take diffusion out of there instead of Wave Knights.
It's better to have E-tanks and not need them than to not have them and just die. So
True.
yeah, I don't blame you, Ronald, for looking for them. Yeah, GG's. We'll get another race set up for you. So this is an instance where we're actually gonna give you the option. Like we have, we'll let you settle it in the race room, but the next seed we have on deck actually has a... This is a seed that has a logic bug, but you could still get out just fine. It just requires frozen enemies. So we'll let you all decide in the race chat if you want that seed or if you want to re-roll it. And we'll get another race going for you, chat.
I'm going to go grab some water.
Cool. And we'll just take a bit of a break and we'll be back soon. Welcome back, y'all. We got another race on our hands, and I'm just gonna get them started. Paste the spoiler log here. Paste column A here as soon as they go. Sweet. And they're off. And they'll be off after a small bit of stream delay. Ah, yes. Classic stream delay. I was so ready for, like, waiting for stream delay in the past. And then I forgot. But yeah. 10 seconds and they're off. Okay, good. Spoilers, they do start the race. Okay, they are off. Man, I'm just spoiling everything today. Very in spirit with the tournament rules.
Yes. This is in fact
You know,
a
I can have my mic
speedrunning
on for this
channel.
one. Not an obscene amount of background noise.
I love this first climb. It's such a well placed room.
Yeah, the initial climb is certainly an art. I love watching the way different runners do it because it seems like everyone does it differently.
There's so many ways you can do it. Like there's maybe one or two optimal ways, and then some flashy ways, and it shows kind of the player's character.
Yeah, for sure. I opt for jumping.
We got a main deck loaded seat here. I just noticed. We're starting with diffusion missiles, which is a pretty funny start here. So a lot of players are used to just firing 3 missiles and they're done with this gear on. They have to shoot 6 missiles to dispatch this one. And the Idora takes 5 missiles. Oh, is it? I think it's 6 for the gear on. It might be only 5 for the gear on.
Yeah, it might be funny for us, but quite unfortunate for them because the diffusion missiles only add, I believe it's 5 damage to your missiles.
With the missile launcher being 10
Yeah,
at the
10.
start. So you're actually at half power starting out. It's the funny thing about split missiles.
And to add salt to the wound, they can't really perform the double.
Well, they can. Actually, that has been changed since the last tournament. The cooldown of the launchers of the various missile types and the speed of the missiles, I believe, as well, are now progressive in addition to the damage. So they can still do doubles with diffusions, and doing doubles with super missiles feels fantastic.
Let's see. But believe me, horizontal doubles in the vanilla game with diffusion missiles are
Very difficult, yeah. It's like on a scale from 1 to 10, probably like maybe a 6, but still, yeah, that's still pretty difficult. So they're heading on to Cubbyhole to get their charge beam, so they'll finally be able to one-shot eye doors. Not too long after the first one.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they're still not immune to beams.
I noticed Ronald isn't getting wave beam this time. It is significantly more out of the way this time, but that's in the maintenance tunnel that you would need to power bomb to get access to. Definitely not going to be seeing that this race. So this is the seed I was discussing where Sector 4 is one of the first sectors they have available to them, and there's actually a logic bug in the current version of the randomizer that's probably not going to be fixed any time soon, unfortunately, but it thinks you can lower the water and speed boost to get out. Unfortunately, the pump controls to lower the water are behind a blue door, and you don't have access to blue doors. This is probably because in order to get into Sector 4 in the first place, you already have blue doors unlocked in vanilla. But because of Sector Shuffle, that just wasn't considered. It just wasn't noticed. So that is technically a bug. However, you can still get out if you freeze an enemy and use it as a platform. So although that is a logic bug that technically the path makes, like the path that the randomizer took to get out of here is impossible, they do still have a way out with freezing an enemy. So it's totally fine. But we consider it a trick, and we allow players to veto that and roll another seed. And they opted, in this case, just to stick with this one.
Another interesting thing about diffusion missiles is that they will grant you the ice effect even if you do not have ice missiles.
At least the flakes, if you charge it up, they will be able to freeze the enemies for sure. So that's the speed booster that lets them logically get out, but not actually get out. But they started with the diffusion that does let them actually get out. So kind of a neat bit of trivia about this seed. And you do have to wait for the crab to get in position. So Schwartz is going for a running jump to get to the crab. Running does give you some starting momentum, some starting horizontal momentum to get to the crab. Another option, kind of a lesser known detail about mechanics in Fusion, is that if you perform a wall jump or if you jump off of a ladder, you actually get a higher top speed, top horizontal speed from the wall jump or ladder jump that actually is even faster than the top speed of just running and jumping. So you can actually get to the crab from where it was when Schwartz first froze it. If you jump, like if you just wall jump off the top of the block. It's a pretty neat mechanic and is sometimes used. It's sometimes used in the speedrun.
I gotta say, I think Sector 5's theme is one of the best songs in this game. Not because it's a particularly good song, I just think it suits the atmosphere of the sector really well, and I think it's probably the most atmospherically fitting song in the game. Little off topic.
Also, as pointed out in chat, the screw attack actually does mess up the wall jump velocity. Like, you just, it's treated as though you have space jump physics, even though you don't have space jump. So you actually you're even slower when you wall jump than you would be. So that could be something that you need to be aware of if you get screw attack early.
Yeah. Screw attack also allows you to perform single wall jumps if you don't have space jump.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. But yeah, having screw attack actually makes certain jumps significantly more difficult because it does lower the speed. Like getting out of Sector 5 without space jump, like if you come in from a back door or something and you want to go up to the entrance, it's actually even harder with screw attack. It's possible, but you have to pull away from the wall quite a bit and really delay your wall jump and jump from very low. And yeah, this format for the tournament really tests another kind of skill altogether versus just playing the game and performing well. Like, you don't have to make the same kinds of decisions as you do in regular randomizer races, but you have to really be able to read the spoiler log in a very efficient way to be able to route on the fly. It's really fascinating.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier in the match before this, it's really more about decision making and routing on the fly than it is about execution. Because I don't remember who won the last tournament last year, but
Rezarin.
Rezarin did, okay. But yeah, a lot of top runners would get beaten by people who, you know, you would not expect to beat top top 10 runners, but
yeah, Army and Autumn Out of Habit kind of came out of nowhere. They weren't really known speedrunners. They hadn't ran Metroid Fusion before, but they're just they're really on the ball with decision making, and they were doing really well in the last randomizer tournament. And that just tends to be how it is in a lot of randomizer tournaments, I find. Like, A Link to the Past, you'll find your top level runners pretty high in the pool, but there are a lot of other runners who just rise to the top as well and even overcome the speedrunners.
Shoutouts to Autumn and Army, by the way.
Autumn is actually number 3 seed and actually has a bye this round because of how well she performed in the qualifiers, in the seeding races before the tournament. It's actually out-seeded Scotty. Scotty is 5th seed in this tournament, which is kind of ridiculous if you have heard of Scotty before. Like, he's an extraordinary runner, and on top of that, he also, like, we allow people to have other people to help them route, so they don't necessarily need to do this all on their own. They could have someone just reading through the spoiler log for them and deciding where they go. And Scotty actually has a veteran speedrunner, Dragon Fangs, usually when he's doing these seeds, and so they're like kind of a dream team when it comes to this kind of format. And yet there are still players like just for one reason or another, they're just really well built, really well suited for this format.
Personally, if there's anyone I would want to have guiding me through this game, it would be Biospark. But yeah, Scotty is definitely the final boss of this game, so to speak.
And can you imagine like JRP playing with Biospark routing? That would be pretty sick.
Yeah.
It's probably about the same as Scotty playing with Dragon Fangs routing, honestly. There is an interesting kind of psychological factor here as well. Like with Scotty being such a great executioner and really quick-witted and great at decision making and on-the-fly thinking himself. But when I've noticed, like when given information, like it's kind of easy to let your brain kind of check out and just forget like what it is you just grabbed. And they'll occasionally be questions like, how could I go there? I don't have such and such item. And they'll be like, yeah, you do. You literally just grabbed it. That's why we came here. And it's like,
Reminds
so
me
I
of,
do.
kind of reminds me of Sector 5 in the vanilla game.
Yeah. It's very notorious that at least you have to visit Sector 5 3 times in the speedrun, and the first time you go through, you have to loop through twice, basically. And a lot of people will do one loop and then head up to the navigation room and be like, wait, why isn't the door opening? It's because they just completely forgot to get ice missiles.
Yeah.
It's something that every speedrunner finds out from personal experience eventually.
Yeah. It's kind of a rite of passage in our community that you have to screw up the segment in Sector 5, and then you become a fusion speedrunner.
Yep. It's one of the things that makes this tournament so exciting for me personally, is that these things are going to happen. Guaranteed. And we could definitely have an upset or two for sure. And yeah, with
Judah says, "Gee, gravity away from seeing the end of this."
yeah, they got their charge beam, they got their plasma, they got their jumps.
And if worst comes to worst, they got their screw attack that they can damage the SAX with. Which hopefully they don't have to
Yeah,
do, because
technically,
they only have 1 tank, but you know, things happen.
Yeah, you don't really want to use screw attack on the SAX. It's I don't know how much damage it does. I don't think it does very much, but it definitely does damage, and I have seen some tournament races, like in the past tournament, where the finishing blow was the screw attack hit. So that was neat. But yeah, it's definitely not going to be the primary weapon. 'Cause it hurts you way more than it feels like it hurts them. I do kind of wonder if it's 1-to-1. Like, does the SAX have, like, would it take the same number of hits to defeat the SAX with screw attack as it would to die to it with all your E-tanks?
That'd be an interesting thing to test. Speaking of killing things with screw attack, you can also kill the stabilizers with screw attack. There's a lot of things you can kill these stabilizers with, and screw attack is one of them. And we just saw Gandhi do that, and he's gonna do it again.
I like using power bomb as an option in some of the rooms, because like you have to run around the room to get to the stabilizer, or you could drop a power bomb and just hit it through the wall. Either way works. So, a question in the chat about the ammo situation in this. It really depends on what your upgrades are. 15 seems really low, but honestly, it's enough for the final bosses if you have super missiles and like something else. They currently have ice, missile launcher, and diffusion data. That's 25 damage. I think 15 or 20 is probably enough.
Yeah. You really don't. Well, if you do the SX fight optimally, you don't need that many missiles, and shooting the core does give you missiles.
And power bombs actually are surprisingly helpful as well, because you can use the power bombs to suck the refills up into the center of it. So you could drop power bomb, like you could jump in the air, drop a power bomb, and just shoot the core, and then all of those refills will just come up to you, so you don't even have to leave the safe zone, basically. You could just plant it at your feet as well, but I think jumping is just more reliable, because sometimes it just stops at the edge of where the center is, so it kind of just sticks below your feet and then drops, just flies away anyway. The main appeal of missile ammo is usually for other bosses, like I guess not, maybe like half the bosses, like Yakuza, Nightmare, Notori. Those are definitely gonna be
missiles and charge
ones you would want them
beam.
for.
It kind of depends on the situation you're in, which weapon is better. Because there are some enemies, there's some bosses where most enemies, you typically just want to use charge beam or just pure beam. Except in the short period where you have super missiles, where super missiles will kill, I think, everything. At that point in the game, I'm speaking vanilla, of course, but
I believe so.
Yeah, it really just depends on the situation.
Yeah, in vanilla, as far as bosses go, you kind of like go back and forth between whether you use super, or whether you use missiles, or whether you use beam. And it kind of switches almost every other boss, just because of their particular quirks about how to hit them. Like with Nightmare, you could use the beam, but like, even though you get damage per frame, because of the hitbox on Nightmare's face being right, like kind of overlapping with the hitbox on his shell, that beam is getting cancelled on frame 2, so you're only getting 1 frame of damage on him. So you just get way more DPS when you use missiles instead. Whereas with Ridley, your fully powered missiles are doing 45, and your fully powered beam is doing like, what is it, like 750, maybe 450.
It depends. Yeah, it depends on your positioning relative to Ridley, but some around that.
Like several hundred damage per shot is definitely way more effective than the 45 per missile.
I forget what triggers destroyed Sector 5 in the randomizer. I think it's having gravity and like 2 other items, right?
It's usually Varia and some combination of other items. Varia, speed, and gravity will do it for sure. I think Varia, high jump, and wave, as well as level 3 doors will do it. It's in the readme files in the randomizer. So, like in the randomizer folder. I could actually pull that up right now. I have it. Right here. Sector 5 will flood once you have some means to get the lower half of the sector through the water. Varia. Okay, so Varia, wave beam, high jump boots, and yellow doors. Or Varia, gravity, and speed. Or gravity, speed, and red doors. Because you can backdoor the lower. You can backdoor Sector 5 to have it broken. Just because there's no actual door to the left of where you break in. Okay, those are the options. I'm getting another safety E-tank for Schwartz here in the data room in Sector 5. It's very good to be heads up about where your safeties are. Like, even if you don't need 5 or 6 E-tanks, I think he has 6 of them. Even if you don't need that much maximum capacity, they also serve as full health refills. So if you're down to like 1 tank, you kind of want to refill along the way. So, from personal experience, I definitely wind up with more energy tanks than I need, just because I want my current energy to be comfortable at all times.
E-tanks are also nice to have because it's really easy to forget just how much damage some of the enemies in this game can deal. Personally, I have lost any percent runs to spitters. The projectile that they release from their mouth does a lot of damage. I forget how much it does, but it's quite a lot. 80, yeah. So, yeah, having E-tanks safety is definitely a smart option. Because the enemies in this game do deal a lot of damage.
So there's kind of been some speculation on what way to exit the sectors is better, and it really depends on like what you're next to and where you're going. It's hard to say in this case. Like, maybe it would have been faster to take the screw attack exit at the start of the lower Sector 4 section, but with diffusion missiles, this is a really fast way as well, because there are fewer door transitions, I believe, and
Yes.
there are also times where it's just faster to take a sector connector to get even closer to the main elevator, but that's also situational depending on what sectors Sector 4 is sandwiched between. Like there are certain sectors, like Sector 2 and Sector 1 have their sector connectors really close to the start, really close to the elevators, whereas where you heading to get to the sector connectors is also really close to the elevator in 4. So you just kind of, a lot of players are just like guessing. Oh, Jesus, this is a much closer race than I thought. I just looked down for a minute and they're like saving at the same time. JK. Schwartz is saving while Ronald is just going for it. So it may seem like that's a really, like, it's strongly recommended to save before the final bosses in Randomizer. But if you need to pull out a win, you could save 5 seconds by skipping the save. That's a good chunk of change. And they are allowed to screen watch, so maybe they know how close the race is. I'm going for the safe horizontal strat here.
Schwartzghandi does have a slight advantage having a wide beam, but Ronald has already started the fight and is already on phase 2. But we'll see.
Yeah,
how
so
it plays out in the mega fight.
Ronald is way ahead right now by the looks of it, except that without the wide beam, the Omega Metroid fight is going to be significantly longer. Like,
yeah, much longer.
Like 15 seconds maybe, I'd guess. I don't actually know, but it could be a lot longer of a fight. So this could wind up being a game of seconds here. And with Schwartz finishing off the Ice X, it's going to be closer to that sweet spot where it finally settles. But having some trouble finishing it off. There it goes. Okay, directly under the center. It's going to fly away almost immediately. Okay. And Schwartz actually finishes off the core faster.
Sure.
With those super missiles really putting in work. That's really cool. Just taking the time to get those supers at the top of Sector 3 that you never needed to enter really saved Schwartz a lot of time here. So
yeah.
Hard to say whether it evened out or whether it just straight up was the faster decision. That's just a new scenario that you'll have to figure out on your own, basically, which is faster. And definitely wide beam helped as well, for sure. Like, using the freeze strats that Ronald did, that saved a lot of time on the final boss. He was definitely finished with the SAX first phase way sooner. But having that wide beam did triple Schwartz's output even with the slower strat, and is still not far behind at all.
Oh, Tiger not getting even the shine square across the room.
Yeah, it's really hard to do while commentating. Wow. That's kind of interesting. Schwartz released that shot before the Omega Metroid started screeching. It's kind of interesting that it didn't swipe immediately.
Yeah.
And Schwartz just squeaks out a win here with the 33-15.
A race time finish of 37:47.
That's the old one.
Oh, that's the old one. Oh.
Wait.
I didn't realize that was...
Yeah, that's the old one.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually almost
Oh.
forgot. Ronald Rage
Not that
It's not easy.
trying to really go for
Told you
it,
it's not
and
easy.
unfortunately
Although that was a horrible attempt. But
taking the loss there, taking
yeah.
the death there.
Oh, this
Really
is on my way
unfortunate.
out.
Actually, taking the time to go down and get what is that, wide beam? The bottom of lower 5. Oh,
Oh, yeah, I did that. I
welcome.
went
GG.
right past it. Thank you.
Yeah, so Ronald Rage actually went in to the Omega Metroid fight, like right behind. He actually got to the SAX before you, but he didn't have wide beam, and he only had ice diffusion missiles. So,
Oh,
like,
Mm-hmm.
he actually used the freeze strat, and he finished the first phase of it before you did, like
mhm.
significantly so. But the core took so much longer that you were actually
Yeah.
quite a bit ahead,
Wow.
getting out of the room.
I thought I was at first not going to go for supers. And I was like, because I did not think that would have been worth the time.
Yeah, it counted today.
Tell you what, there was an infinitely easier Omega Metroid fight, but I almost messed up the core.
Yeah, I was pretty worried there. Thankfully, you did have screw attack that helped a ton.
Yeah.
That was pretty huge.
Yeah.
And having those supers, thank goodness, because like if you had to deal with that core much longer, who knows what would have happened. That's definitely nerve-wracking.
Yeah. Whew. I'm exhilarated after that.
Yeah. Other than that, how did you feel about the seed overall?
It was
How'd you like that
interesting.
crab that you had to freeze?
Yeah, it was fine. I did it wrong, so I had to wait for him to unfreeze so I could refreeze him again.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I appreciated the loaded start. That's just because we had 5 and 4 to work with. Yeah, required yellows. That was really funny.
Mm-hmm.
It's always a good scene when you have to go down to lower 5. Yeah.
Especially because wide beam was at lower 5 as well. That was
Yeah, because
that was nice that was on the way. It kind of looked
was
on
on the
paper
way.
like, oh, that's not worth getting. But once you realize, oh, you have to unlock lower level 3 doors, then yeah.
I did not look where wide was at all until I left 5. I was like, oh shit, or that wide was down there. I missed it, man. That's like, ugh. I also debated picking up bombs when we went into 4. I was like, it's not really required, but I think it definitely was worth its time.
All right.
Because since power bombs take longer to go off than regular bombs.
Mm-hmm.
Also, not having to worry about ammo count.
Exactly, yeah. Because with power bombs and no bombs, you do run out of power bombs fairly quickly.
Yeah.
It's something you really got to be conscious about if you're in those situations, that you gotta get a refill at some point. So Ronald Rage, unfortunately, he got to the SAX before you because he got to the save room right after you and skipped it.
Oh, and he died to it?
Unfortunately, he died to the Omega Metroid.
Dang.
So that's pretty rough.
I'm surprised how close we were, though.
Like, I'd kind of say, I mean, on the one hand, you should save before the final boss.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, that would have saved him 5 seconds. That's a pretty hefty time save when you're neck and neck like you were.
Even if I don't really think it would have mattered, since
Yeah, probably not.
Took a way longer on the core, but
It would have taken longer on the Omega as well because he doesn't have wide beam.
yeah, I haven't practiced Omega Metroid without wide at all, so I did not feel confident going in there without it. That's why I made the detour.
Yeah, it's really smart. Like, you don't necessarily want to do what's theoretically optimal. You want to do what will make you go faster. And if that means taking some safeties, that is faster.
Mm-hmm. I should also practice that ice missile strat.
Mm-hmm. It's a bit tricky, but once you get that muscle memory, it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
I do personally I do the diagonal strat, which you can do in 4 shots if you do it right, and I use a visual cue for so the bottom of the window, like the very bottom right, I wait to shoot or wait to R-shoot the beam, because that allows for the beam to be in contact with the SX for the most amount of time. You can get it in 4 shots, but the diagonal strat is really difficult.
Yeah, with just the horizontal strat, that still does a lot of damage. It's just just not quite as much as the diagonal. You could see the power of 15 damage per shot on the I-core. It takes a while. Thankfully, as ice missiles, and not just diffusion.
Yeah.
It cuts the time in a third. It would have been 3 times longer if you didn't have that.
But excellent races from both of you guys.
Thank you.
Really well done.
I actually did a little bit of practicing before the races, practicing climb and low height, and yeah, I think
Nice.
I'm proud. I feel like I did race good.
Yeah,
Well,
definitely looked like it today. Minus the occasional death, but those are gonna happen. Let's be real. It is a hard game.
I say
Like, it
lot
messes
more
with you.
this time.
Yeah, it's really good.
Does he know how to get low height?
He knows
Yeah, he
how,
did.
but he just didn't quite pull it off this time.
Like, what's the frame, like, or the frame window on low height?
It's frame perfect, that one.
Oh, really?
I don't believe I don't believe it's the last frame, but it is frame perfect.
It also kind of depends on when you unspin. Some players will unspin and then fall into position and spark, and kind of depending on how shortly after that, you might have a 2-frame window.
Yeah.
Like, if you're so close to it, you might have enough, like a low enough speed that it could be 2 frames. But to get that 2-frame window, you would kind of need a 1-frame unspin. So it's still frame perfect, really.
Yeah.
Although, actually, I'm not entirely sure, because you can unspin and spark almost immediately after, like a frame apart, somewhat reliably, just the way you press the buttons. There are kind of ways to do that, and I kind of wonder, maybe that extends it to a 2-frame trick. It might be.
ronaldrage finishing out with a 43.24.19.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Yeah, welcome on in.
Hello.
A great race.
Out of all the times I've oversaved, this was the time I forgot.
Damn.
Every time I save all the time. And
You know
when
what,
I
though?
died, it was like, oh, wait a second.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate, but you were actually going through the save room at the same time.
Wow.
Schwartz actually stopped to save. Although Schwartz did have significant advantages with having actually picked up super missiles and wide beam, so that was they were definitely it didn't go for the freeze strat, but still wound up definitely taking much less time on the ice core. So
Yeah. I didn't know where wide beam was until later on, like after I got
Yeah.
mhm.
level
I
3
did the
locks.
same thing.
And it's funny because before I even got level 3 locks, I was like, oh, I should check this to see if it's an E-tank. And I was like, nah, door transition. What if it's a power bomb tank? So I didn't. And when I look back, I was like, oh, it was free wide beam. But that was the only regret, besides obviously not saving. But no, besides that, it was definitely some GGs. It's definitely a lot of fun.
yeah, definitely well played. Getting a lot of randomizer experience here. A lot of we're learning so much about like spoiler log racing psychology here. It
Yeah.
like it is
Good.
really messing with players just all around. It's great to watch. It's great entertainment. So thank you too
Yeah.
for participating for sure.
Of course, no, it's been a lot of fun, for sure. It definitely changes up the like the strategy for sure. You know, at least for me, you know, I'm just like, when do I stop to really analyze the spoiler log? You know, because it's gonna waste time. When do I, you know, should I get this? Should I get that? Like
Mhm.
grabbing screw attack, you know, that was like a choice. I decided to go for it, but like it maybe wastes like 2 minutes to grab it, but I'm sure it saves plenty of time overall.
Yeah.
You know, but it's pretty fun and interesting to see that aspect of knowing where the items are.
It was next to missile data as well. That may have helped as well. Like if you're gonna head to the Mission Impossible item, it might also be worth getting the first item.
Yeah.
Oh, that was missiles. Yeah, I should have grabbed that as well. I just completely missed it. Like I remember
Mhm.
walking over it. I was like, oh, I already grabbed it because it was like open, but that was from the power bomb. You know, it's
Yeah.
still it was just tired from long days. You know, I just that was a
Mhm.
brain fart. But still, like yeah, as you said, like especially if I grab the missiles, like that's even more time saved as well. So for more
That was definitely my first thought when we got a diffusion start. Was that okay? Where are all the missiles? I want to upgrade these as soon as possible.
Oh yeah.
oh yeah. Mhm.
There are a lot of very common like secondary routing decisions that you're people are just starting to pick up on, like diffusion start crap. Where are every missile? How far out of the way am I willing to go for them?
Yeah.
And things like that. Do I want to go out of my way for screw attack? Like, do I strictly need Varia suit? And all these kinds of decision making things that we're
Also
going to see a
wide
lot
too.
of.
Yeah, like where's wide? If it's not
Where's
that far
wide?
of a
Yeah.
way, it's gonna be nice to grab. I think Autumn has like an E-tank, like shows you where E-tanks are, which I don't have. That'd be great to have for other runners, you know, just to see if you need a couple extra E-tanks for safety, knowing where the fast E-tanks are as well.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if like maybe your window's like uh zoomed in, but it is on the side of the sheet that I linked to in the info. But you could also scroll down and it is color coded. So
Oh, right. Scrolling down's for noobs, though. Come on. I just want to look. I just want to look at the main items. But you're right. It's probably smart to, like I said, see where E-tanks are, because in the first race, I definitely wasted a lot of time, um, like checking extra items, and then they just weren't E-tanks every single time, and it's just a waste of 30 seconds here, 30 seconds there. Whereas if
yeah,
I probably would have stopped for a minute and looked and checked where good E-tank spots were, probably would have saved more time. And that's where decision making comes in with these, which is a cool
Yep.
aspect.
We'll see if we could get the bot to paste a spoiler log at some point. But for now, yeah, the spoiler sheet that I've been linking to, like it's kind of different between who hosts, but we're trying to get more uniform. But the one I linked to does have the energy tanks listed out on the right side. So it just kind of depends on what the player's preference, like what kind of setup they use.
And also, like you said, they're
Like,
color
if
coded,
you
so
want
all
to
the E-tank spots are tan, right? So
Yeah,
something to look for.
exactly.
Oh, I can't believe I died and didn't save. I'm so stupid. It's okay though. It happens, right? Everybody makes mistakes.
Absolutely. And honestly, like Schwartz had been leaving the like had already triggered the countdown by the time you finished the ice core, so
Okay. Might not have mattered either way, but still.
like at the time you were passing the save, it might have been a good thing, like to save the 5 seconds it takes to save, just in that specific situation of being such a close race.
Right.
But it just didn't
Well, also, I didn't know.
work out this
But
time.
I guess another decision making thing. If I had wide, maybe not saving would have been a more feasible thing. But without wide, I'm gonna save every time. It's worth just in case. Just
Yeah, I still do save just in case personally.
Yeah.
But that's up to a player by player decision.
true.
Yeah.
Yep, very true.
If I had like maybe more than one row of E, I'd probably opt to not save.
Makes sense. All right.
Depends on how safe you want to play it too. You know, if you want to get the best time possible, don't save. But I'm always more for safe strats. But that's just me personally.
Absolutely. So any other thoughts before we wrap up here?
GG's. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, GG. Follow ronaldrage. He is an excellent runner of this game, and follow schwartzghandi, who is an excellent randomizer player of this game.
Yeah, we look
And,
forward to seeing
yeah.
more races. I think we got another race tomorrow, in fact. Who was running in that one?
Was
Is that the Herc Red one
Red,
or a
Red and
different one?
Herc, I think.
No, they rescheduled. It's Army versus Glenn, I believe.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Yeah, same time tomorrow. So we'll see y'all there.
And shout out to Jagger for putting this whole thing together. He's the man.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And thanks, Vicious Delicious, for joining me on comms, and thanks for Hugo for tracking for us, so we can focus more on just yapping away and making no sense. And thanks to the audience, and huge thanks for SpeedGaming for taking the responsibility to run the restream. That's a lot of work, so big shout outs to them, the whole staff. And we will see you all next mission. Bye.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye bye.